Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
If you had to teach a flirting 101 feet class, what would be the number one unspoken rule you would write on the chalkboard? For men, if she works for tips, she's not flirting. For women, you're going to have to be way less subtle. Quote, ladies, there are two types of men. One considers any non-hostile interaction flirting. The second won't realize you're flirting until it's borderline sexual harassment because they don't want to be the first type. One considers any non-hostile interaction flirting. Unfortunately, there's yet another type that still considers hostile interactions flirting. For women, be more obvious. Related, men are not turned off by you approaching them. Women rarely make the first move, so when they do and get rejected, they think it's because they made the first move, and not that the guy simply wasn't interested anyway. That's where this whole nonsense about men love the chase and are turned off if a woman approaches them came from. There is no truth to it. Absolutely, a woman making the first move is attractive IMO. Some men will take a general gaze in the direction as a sign of interest. Other men you could flash your boobs at and they'll say shush is just being nice. Some women will look at a man for 1.08 seconds longer and say why didn't he ask for my number. Some women will feel up a guy, compliment him, kiss him, invite herself over to his place and say she was just being nice. I had a class once and one of the most attractive women I ever met always sat next to me. She was super nice, never brought her book, and would always share mine. So she sat super close, frequently leaned in to read from my book to the point I could smell her hair, and our legs constantly bumped under the table. So she had to be flirting with me, but she refused any attempt I made to get to know her out of class, and it turns out she had a boyfriend the whole time. Oh god, that reminds me. I had a coworker years and years ago that I was into, and was 100% sure she was too. Lots of talk that seemed clearly flirty, always tried to spend the shift near each other to talk and joke, talked outside work tons, and she was constantly touching me, including dancing on me. She invited me to drive up and hang out up on the cliffs overlooking the city, because you couldn't get a more cliché date, make-out spot, not that I tried anything there. I kept asking my female best friend if I was reading the signs right and she about beat me over the head, frustrated that I was so oblivious. Obviously the girl was interested, so I finally told her I liked her. She was not. She was horrified I somehow got the idea she could be into me and that I was into her, then decided I was a creep. She was flirting with you, and she had no intention of anything more. Some people like being flirty. Flirting is just listening with better eye contact. If you're confused, ask. Compliment choices as well as physical aspects. It's about mutual curiosities, not a game. Edit, I thought of another important one. If your friends tell you to hide part of your personality, ignore them. If you're on a date with the right person, they will enjoy it. There's no point trying to be someone you aren't to impress someone. Be yourself, quirks and all. Compliment choices as well as physical aspects. This one is a tip I always give. Compliment things people have chosen, like haircuts, clothes, tattoos. Compliment the physical ways in which someone shows personality instead of the things they were born with. So don't start with nice tits. If you are not getting clear interest back, stop and respect it. Real flirting always feels mutual, never forced. If you are not getting clear interest back, stop and respect it. Real flirting always feels mutual, never forced. I'd like to note, speaking from a man's POV, this seems to really only applies to the men. Combining this with the top comment, at the time of this reply, from you, 9 Umo Papas DN. For men, if she works for tips, she's not flirting. For women, you're going to have to be way less subtle. Women, unless he specifically said something, odds are more likely he missed your hint than otherwise. If you ever feel disappointed that a certain man seemingly stopped showing interest, this is why. He's not picking up reciprocation from you and he is trying to respect your seeming disinterest to his gestures and expressions. I can't count how many times either a mutual friend or the individual herself at some come back to me and basically said I wasn't persistent enough. There's a lot of us who try our best to be respectful if there's perceived lack of interest. I can't count how many times either a mutual friend or the individual herself at some come back to me and basically said I wasn't persistent enough. Same. My rule was always, if you suggest a plan and she turns it down, the ball is in her court. So if you ask if she wants to go out on Friday and she says she can't, she's working, it's on her to say, I'm busy, how about Saturday, some other specific time. If she just says, I can't, I'm busy, then you're being brushed off and should leave it there politely, because we've all been lectured on the soft number. Then you actually apply that in the real world, and they get huffy about how you didn't put in enough effort. You might have to turn it up to 11 if you want the guy to get it. 11 is still too subtle. A girl I knew was once complimenting me on something, and I always have a tough time with that and sort of brush him off. She then added that she found it really attractive and I reply, yeah, sure, before my brain processed what she had just said. And just like that, the moment was gone. So yeah, 11 is too subtle. I'm in my 50s and have never understood flirting. I just talk to people and try to make them laugh. 60% of the time it works every time. That's flirting. Women love a guy who can make them laugh. Hold your horse. That's it. This explains things. Flirting is not about making yourself look attractive. Flirting is about expressing your own attraction and giving them the opportunity to express theirs, if they are attracted to you to begin with. In the dating book models, this is called polarization. Demonstrating your attraction gives the other person the opportunity to respond between the polarity of reciprocating or not. The normal social norms around talking to strangers don't all fly out the window just because you're attracted to the person. Would it feel weird to ask that guy on the bus to come over and play video games out of the blue? It won't be less weird just because you're asking a cute girl to hang out. Having some common ground to talk about, following social cues and only talking to people who reciprocate your interest in having a conversation are foundational conditions that you need before you can even think about flirting. Make the other person think they are the ones seducing you. How? Start rubbing your nipples without changing the conversation. PPL posting advice in cryptic form, sad face. Instructions unclear. In many cases, flirting with a man works like befriending a dog, and flirting with a woman like befriending a cat. You flirt by giving people food. What did you think dinner dates were about? You may fascinate a woman by giving her a piece of cheese. Instructions unclear, dick stuck in catnip. Only proceed if they are playing the game too. This carrot. I struggled to define flirting until I saw someone online describe it as two people both taking things one small step further until someone either calls it quits or you're in a relationship. It's pretty much a giant game of chicken really. You're both testing the waters and meeting each other at a new halfway point until one of you doesn't meet the other. Directions unclear. I lost the game, they started playing, and now they won't talk to me. Fuck you reminded me of the game. Escalate, escalate, escalate. Stagnation kills the vibe. When you recognize that you're not comfortable escalating further, right pointing arrow, cleanly disengage until enough time passes that the dynamic resets or can be gradually escalated further. Downside to flirting is that without variation it just becomes either being sweet or unnecessary pressure. This is the best original advice I've seen here. It's good until you realize the average person is going to take those instructions and run with it in the worst way. Jesus Christ, imagine a nerd desperately gripping and shifting a gear lever in his brain while his date gets more and more creeped out as he focuses more on his escalation lever than the signals from his date. Nice try, Gemini. You're not gonna see my cock, grok. Don't talk about the smell they add to gas. Ross, is that you? I absolutely loved that bit, never knew the fact before and will never forget it after I saw him say it. I don't know why the pizza gal had to make it so awkward, it really was a fun fact. The stripper doesn't love you, but for 4 minutes and $20 you can dream. If you are confused about whether they are interested, they probably aren't. A mixed bag on this. Remember, the other person can be confused by your signals. Don't assume everyone else is so good with social signals. If you feel like an awkward idiot, the other person can feel that way too. Plus, we've all met people who are just scattershot flirty. The woman who is super touchy with everyone. The guy who is super chivalrous and gives lots of compliments. They also aren't necessarily into you. They just are like that all the time. If the other person displays obvious irritation with you or flat out turns you down, you're rejected. If they're behaving any other way, it's not 100% clear. The advice I was given a long time ago is very similar to this. If she likes you, you'll know. If she doesn't, you'll be confused. Quote, mixed signals, or no, timidly hiding behind the door. I've been married for 25 years. I'm still not quite sure. You underestimate how clueless some of us are. I wasn't sure a girl was interested after she told me multiple times she'd like to share a jacuzzi with me. My boyfriend is the daftest man alive. You could push him against the wall and grab his junk and he would still be confused about whether or not you're interested in him. This advice would not work out well for him. Tears of joy. How did you guys get together then? All the women wondering why so many guys don't pick up on hints need to remember how many times those guys have heard this very comment. The secret to being a really good conversationalist is to be more interested in talking about the other person than in talking about yourself. Really listen, and if that person drops a detail of his or her life, dig deeper on that with an open-ended question. Now, that doesn't mean you stand there, rooted to the floor and listening to a monologue. If that person shows no curiosity about you, or just listens until that he or she can talk about himself or herself a little more, then politely excuse yourself and move on. A dick pic is not flirting. Men, be humble. Women, be upfront. Good thing I'm the most humble person in the entire world then. Men, be humble is the worst flirting advice out there, lol. Just have fun and joke around. If you make them laugh, you're doing well. If not, it's not going well. Look for the laughter that makes it to their eyes and the goofy quirks come out like a snort or an elephant inhale. This is what I love. If we get to laugh till we cry, or high-pitched pee your pants, laugh, I'm so there. Don't fall in the same category as all the other guys. That means if she has blue eyes, for example, don't compliment her, you have beautiful eyes, or if she has a rare name, don't comment on the name, etc. To that effect. Never state interest immediately. For example, don't say that, I saw you were beautiful, etc. If approaching outdoors, the mere fact that you're approaching is extremely ballsy, so you don't need to do extra stuff to raise the temperature. You will come off as a prankster or too much of a player. Don't aim for an opener that will wow her for half a minute, because even though you will feel good and it might even raise emotions, the vibe will almost immediately die down and end up with a okay bye, see you around, with no real chance of follow through. The ideal is to aim for familiarity, even if brief. You should aim for a feeling of 5 to 10 minute dates, a genuine interaction with a bit of playfulness or push and pull to indicate interest. Compliment her choices, her sense of style, how she's wearing her hair, her makeup. Lovely eyes are great, but how she does her eye makeup to emphasize it can contribute a ton.